Welcome, kind listener. My name is Gentle Fox. You may not know me now, but by the end of this masterpiece, you will, and I trust you'll think of me as an old friend. What you'll be hearing tonight is an excerpt from our Twitch stream. I hope you'll enjoy that extra ambiance and my soft-spoken voice as we explore Leo Tolstoy's classic, Anna Karenina. Chapter 23. Vronsky and Kitty took several turns of the waltz. After the waltz, Kitty went over to her mother, and had barely managed to say a few words to Countess Nordston when Vronsky came to fetch her for the first quadrille. Nothing important was said during the quadrille. There were snatches of conversation, now about the Korsunskys, husband and wife, whom he described very amusingly as sweet 40-year-old children, now about a future public theater, and only once did the conversation touch her to the quick, when he asked her whether Levine was there, and added that he liked him very much. But Kitty expected no more from the quadrille. She waited with fainting heart for the mazurka. She thought that during the mazurka everything would be decided. That he had not invited her for the mazurka during the quadrille did not trouble her. She was sure that she would dance the mazurka with him, as at previous balls, and declined 5 other invitations, saying she was already engaged. The whole ball up to the final quadrille was for Kitty a magic dream of joyful colors, sounds, and movements. She left off dancing only when she felt too tired and asked for a rest. But dancing the final quadrille with one of those boring young men whom it was impossible to refuse, she found herself vis-à-vis Vronsky and Anna. She had not come close to Anna since her arrival, and here suddenly saw her again, in a completely new and unexpected way. She saw in her a streak of the elation of success, which she knew so well herself. She could see that Anna was drunk with the wine of the rapture she inspired. She knew that feeling, knew the signs of it, and she saw them in Anna, saw the tremulous flashing light in her eyes, the smile of happiness and excitement that involuntarily curved her lips, and the precise gracefulness, assurance, and lightness of her movements. Who is it? She asked herself. All or one? And, not helping the suffering young man she was dancing with to carry on the conversation, the thread of which he had lost and was unable to pick up, and outwardly obeying the merrily loud commands called out by Korsunsky, who sent everybody now into the grand rond, now into the shine, she watched, and her heart was wrung more and more. No, it's not the admiration of the crowd she's drunk with, but the rapture of one man, and that woman. Can it be him? Each time he spoke with Anna, her eyes flashed with a joyful light, and a smile of happiness curved her red lips. She seemed to be struggling with herself to keep those signs of joy from showing, yet they appeared on her face of themselves. But what about him? Kitty looked at him and was horrified. What portrayed itself so clearly to Kitty in the mirror of Anna's face, she also saw in him. Where was his quiet, firm manner and carefree, calm expression? No. Now each time he addressed Anna, he bowed his head slightly, as if wishing to fall down before her, and in his glance there were only obedience and fear. I do not want to offend you, his glance seemed to say each time. I want to save myself, but do not know how. There was an expression on his face that she had never seen before. They talked about mutual acquaintances, carrying on the most insignificant conversation, but it seemed to Kitty that every word they spoke decided their fate, and hers. And the strange thing was that, though they indeed talked about how ridiculous Ivan Ivanovitch was with his French, and how the Yeletsky girl might have found a better match, These words all had a special significance for them, and they felt it just as Kitty did. The whole ball, the whole world, everything was covered with mist in Kitty's soul. Only the strict school of upbringing she had gone through supported her and made her do what was demanded of her. That is, dance, answer questions, talk, even smile. But before the start of the mazurka, when the chairs were already being put in place and some couples moved from the smaller rooms to the ballroom, Kitty was overcome by a moment of despair and horror. She had refused 5 partners, and now would not dance the mazurka. There was even no hope that she would be asked, precisely because she had too great a success in society, and it would not have entered anyone's head that she had not been invited before then. She should have told her mother she was sick and gone home, but she did not have the strength for it. She felt destroyed. She went to the far corner of a small drawing room and sank into an armchair. Her airy skirt rose like a cloud around her slender body. One bared, thin, delicate girlish hand sank strengthlessly into the folds of her pink tunic. In the other she held her fan and waved it before her flushed face with quick, short movements. But though she had the look of a butterfly that clings momentarily to a blade of grass and is about to flutter up, unfolding its iridescent wings, a terrible despair pained her heart. But perhaps I'm mistaken. Perhaps it's not so. And she again recalled all that she had seen. Kitty, what on earth is this? Said Countess Nordston, approaching her inaudibly across the carpet. I don't understand this. Kitty's lip trembled. She quickly got up. Kitty, you're not dancing the mazurka? No, said Kitty in a voice trembling with tears. He invited her for the mazurka right in front of me, said Countess Nordston, knowing that Kitty would understand whom she meant. She said, Aren't you dancing with Princess Shtcherbatsky? Oh, it makes no difference to me, replied Kitty. No one except herself understood her situation. No one knew that a few days before she had refused a man whom she perhaps loved, and had refused him because she trusted another. Countess Nordston found Korsunsky, with whom she was to dance the mazurka, and told him to invite Kitty. Kitty danced in the first pair, and, fortunately for her, had no need to talk, because Korsunsky kept rushing about his domain giving orders. Vronsky and Anna sat almost opposite to her. She saw them with her far-sighted eyes. She also saw them close to when they met while dancing, and the more she saw them, the more convinced she was that her misfortune was an accomplished fact. She saw that they themselves felt alone in this crowded ballroom, and on Vronsky's face, always so firm and independent, she saw that expression of lostness and obedience that had so struck her, like the expression of an intelligent dog when it feels guilty. Anna smiled, and her smile passed over to him. She lapsed into thought, and he too would turn serious. Some supernatural force drew Kitty's eyes to Anna's face. She was enchanting in her simple black dress. Enchanting were her full arms, with the bracelets on them. Enchanting her firm neck with its string of pearls. Enchanting her curly hair in disarray. Enchanting the graceful light movements of her small feet and hands. Enchanting that beautiful face and its animation. But there was something terrible and cruel in her enchantment. Kitty admired her even more than before, and suffered more and more. She felt crushed, and her face showed it. When Vronsky saw her, meeting her during the mazurka, he did not recognize her at first. She was so changed. A wonderful ball, he said to her, so as to say something. Yes, she replied. In the middle of the mazurka, repeating a complicated figure just invented by Korsunsky, Anna came out to the middle of the circle. took 2 partners and called another lady and Kitty to her. Kitty looked fearfully at her as she walked up. Anna, her eyes narrowed, looked at her and smiled, pressing her hand. But noticing that Kitty's face responded to her smile only with an expression of despair and surprise, she turned away from her and began talking gaily with the other lady. Yes, there's something alien, demonic, and enchanting in her, Kitty said to herself. Anna did not want to stay for supper, but the host began to insist. "Come, Anna Arkadyevna," said Korsunsky, tucking her bare arm under the sleeve of his tailcoat. "What an idea I have for a cotillion, un bijou." And he moved on a little, trying to draw her with him. The host smiled approvingly. "No, I won't stay," Anna replied, smiling. But despite her smile, both Korsunsky and the host understood by the resolute tone of her reply that she would not stay. "No, as it is, I've danced more in Moscow at your one ball than all winter in Petersburg," Anna said, glancing at Vronsky, who was standing near her. "I must rest before the trip." "So you're set on going tomorrow?" asked Vronsky. "Yes, I think," replied Anna, so as if surprised at the boldness of his question, but the irrepressible tremulous light in her eyes and smile burned him as she said it. Anna Arkadyevna did not stay for supper, but left.